series sees some of the very best motorbike riders battle it out on some iconic race circuits. And we've come here to Donington in the UK, where round 5 of the World Superbike Series is taking place.
Yeah, now I have to say, we've hit the pit lane, which is far louder than any cycling pit lane I've ever been to. But we thought, well, it was the perfect opportunity to have a deep dive into one of those and how they differ between our bicycles. Are you ready?
Yeah? They're both Superbikes,
I think this is
aren't
Jonathan Ray's. I think second place, I reckon we can borrow his bike.
Yeah, go ask him. I'll show you what mine.
Do you reckon there's chief mechanics in there as well?
If you're lucky.
We've been lucky enough to get hold of Jonathan Ray's Kawasaki Superbike ahead of the World Superbike Championships here at Donington. And then we have Manon. We thought it'd be the perfect opportunity to do some top jumps. Whose machine is actually better? What have you got here then, Yuri?
We have the Jonathan Ray's Kawasaki ZX-10R.
Beautiful machine. Manon?
I've got my Canyon CF SL.
Right, so we thought we would start off with the engine size. Manon, what have you got?
Well, obviously my engine is my legs. I'm not sure how big my legs are, but they put out a fair bit of power now and again.
Yuri, what engine size are we looking at here?
A bit bigger. I think this one is a 1000cc 4-in-line cylinder engine.
Wow.
I think it's a little bit more.
More bigger than yours.
Yeah.
Horsepower, what are you running at?
I think it's about, if my maths is correct, about 1.5 horsepower. It's about 1.5 horsepower.
1.5 horsepower. What kind of horsepower are we looking at with this?
A bit more, about 240 horsepower.
Now, if you're not familiar with horsepower, it's the measurement used in the automotive world, and it dates back to the advent of the steam engine. Years ago, everything was driven by horses, but when James Watt invented the steam engine, he needed a convenient way to sell them, so he came up with a measurement of horsepower as a simple comparison. Now, us cyclists are far more familiar with power expressed in watts. 1 horsepower is equal to 745 watts, which means that engine produces 178,969 watts. That is crazy. At my very best, I could produce 1,300 watts, and I did that for about 1 second. So yeah, that means I can produce about 1.7 horsepower.
Weight?
About 7 kilos.
7 kilos, yeah. Yuri?
168 kilos.
Oh,
168,
easy. Got
right,
that
so
one up.
you're 161 ahead on that one.
Yeah, that's
Next
good.
one, price. What kind of price are we looking at for this?
Expensive, about 4 or 5 grand.
4,000 or 5,000 pounds and euros. What kind of price are we looking at, Yuri?
Bit more.
Bit more.
About, let me say, it's difficult to say, but 400,000.
400,000 pounds. So that's nearly 500,000 on that beautiful machine. Slightly more than the bicycle.
Hold on. I might have just undervalued my beautiful bike there, ever so slightly, but even though it's significant against Jonathan Ray's motorbike, even though Yuri estimates it to be around 400,000 euros, these machines are built around road-going motorbikes. In this case, the ZX-10RR, which retails for just under £25,000. So it's still a considerable amount more than my Canyon. All the additional costs are spent developing custom parts and tuning the engine. It may look similar, but the majority of the bike is modified and upgraded compared to its road-going counterpart.
Okay, once we've done price, now let's look at braking. So, what are you using for brakes?
Well, I've got disc brakes, rotors, 160.
Fairly good brakes.
Yeah, I'm happy with my brakes.
What's your braking system?
Double front disc,
Double front
but
disc.
this is 336 millimeters diameter.
Wow.
Yeah, they do look quite a bit bigger than
Have
mine,
you got double
actually.
disc front and rear?
No, just front.
Just front.
Because mainly these bikes are stopped by the front, not by the rear.
There you go. So
Should I have 2 front ones?
I think you're going to be slightly out-braked there, Manon.
Fair
Okay,
enough.
let's go tyre size. What tyres are you running?
I've got 28mm width tyres.
The Pirelli Zeros, the P-Zeros.
We've both got Pirellis though.
What are you running?
17 inches.
17 inches.
Yes. And size is 120 in the front and 200 in the rear.
And then how many sets of tyres will you go through in a race weekend?
Normally, during race weekend, you use 11 sets in the front and 13 rear tires.
Tyres are quite an interesting subject actually, and while motorbike tyres are undoubtedly more robust and grippy compared to my road bike tyres, they are by no means faster. Their more sustainable construction makes them far heavier in terms of the rolling resistance. They are much slower than what I have fitted to my bike. And as Yuri mentioned, they wear through 11 front tyres and 13 rear tyres over a race weekend, and that's the maximum allocation given to the riders set by the World Superbike Series and Pirelli. They also weigh a considerable amount more. The wider rear tyre of the motorbike is close to 10 kilograms. That's more than my entire bike. The big difference is the Superbike tyre prioritises lots of grip and traction, whereas the road bike tyre prioritises rolling resistance.
All right, you ready?
Probably about
I'll do that question again. No! Manon, we've actually got a bit of quiet and the engines have stopped, so time to actually make hay. Right, Manon, when we're looking at maintenance on your bike, what kind of duration do you put in to look after it?
I'd probably say like 10-15 minutes a week if it needs a quick wash. I'd say like 10-15 minutes a week if it needs, if it has moved dirty. Sometimes I'll go a week without washing it because I don't need to if it's nice and warm.
Yuri, how long are we looking, how long is spent, working on this bike?
We spend probably 4 hours per day.
4 hours a day?
4, depends. No crash, but standard maintenance is 4 or 5 hours.
And how many mechanics?
3 mechanics.
How many Okay. Right, looking at top speeds. Manon, what kind of speed have you ever hit? What's the top speed you hit on your bike?
80-90k an hour? I think that's
God, you've done well. When have you gone 89?
Downhill.
Okay. What kind of speed? What's the top speed of this? What's the...
About 320, 25, yeah. Well, depends on the track.
Well, I hit around 90. And the fastest road bike speeds tend to be around, say, 120 kilometers per hour, and often set on descents in races like the Tour de Suisse.
And the last question I've got, how many wins have you had on that bike?
To be fair, I've only had this bike a few weeks, so 0.
How many wins has this bike had?
I think Jonathan has 100.
Oh, I may as well just
19
just
wins.
give up.
Right, and on that, I think we can both tell that this bike is an absolute winner. Manon?
It did well.
It did well.
It did well.
Yuri, thank you so much, brother, and good luck for the race.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There we have it. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure you give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to know more about the beautiful Superbikes and more in-depth tech on that canyon, then make sure you let us know in the comment section below. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up.